Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will show you how to set up OpenJDK 17 and generate JRE 17. I will also show you how to set up the common tools that most developers use to create web applications. I'm going to set up all of these on a Windows 11 PC. The goal will be to complete the setup and run a sample SpringBoot application. I will start by downloading all the required packages. You can find all these links in the video description below. First, OpenJDK. I'll be using OpenJDK 17.0.2 version, so I will download the Windows 64-bit zip here. Next, I will download Maven, which is the common build automation tool that is used for packaging Java applications. I will be using 3.8.5 version. If you scroll down, you can find the binary zip archive here. Then we will download Tomcat. If you scroll down, I'll be using 10.0.21 version. You can find the binary distribution here for Windows 64-bit. And finally, we will download Eclipse IDE. We'll be using Eclipse IDE to write code and then build and run our application. I'll be using Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java and web developers, since we'll be needing tools for JavaScript, TypeScript, Java server pages, and so on. You can find the 64-bit Windows version here. Since we downloaded the zip files for all, the next step would be to extract all of them in their respective folders. So you can see here that I have already extracted all of them. You must have probably noticed that we downloaded JDK, but there was no JRE in it. Neither were there any links on the website for downloading the JRE. This is because OpenJDK doesn't ship with the JRE anymore. Instead, we need to use JLink that is included in the JDK to generate JRE with the list of modules that we want. You can read more on this page about JLink. Now let's create the JRE. This will be the plan. First, we will list the modules in the JDK and we'll copy them to Notepad. We will require the modules in the next step. We will be including all the modules while generating our JRE. This is a command for listing the modules, java --list modules. Then this is a command for generating JRE, JLink, no header files, no man pages, compress equal to 2, which is for the zip, add modules, and then the module list. The module list is, like I said, the comma separated output from step 1 and the output folder. In this case, I'll be using the same folder as our JDK. So the path will be c:/JRE 17.0.2. Now let's generate the JRE by opening the command prompt. I will navigate to the JDK bin folder where we have the Java executable. I'll copy the path. So now we are here. First, we'll list the modules. Let's copy the command from the notepad. You can see there are several modules here. The next step will be to use these modules in the generate JRE command. So let's copy all these modules. and I will replace at 17.0.2 and the new line breaks by comma. I'll copy all of these into the command that we are going to use. Replace this module underscore list. And also I'm going to replace this path to JRE with the JRE path. Now I will copy all of this together and go back to the command prompt. So this is going to be our command to generate the JRE. Generation is pretty quick, as you can see. Now if I navigate to the root folder where we have the JDK, you can see that we have created this JRE 17.0.2 folder with all the necessary files and folders. The reason we navigated to the JDK bin folder is because the Java executable is present at this location. So if I type, let's say, java-version here, we'll get these details back about the version, etc. However, if I go back one folder level and I type this command, Windows will not recognize this as a command. It's because we have not yet set up the environment variables for Java as well as the other tools. Let's say like if I now enter the Maven command mvn-version, I'll get the similar output. Now let's configure the environment variables. For this, you can right click on this PC and click on properties. This will bring up this window and you can click on the advanced system settings. Now remember that I'm using Windows 11 PC. This might differ based upon which operating system version you're using. I click on the advanced system settings. This will open up the system properties window, and here I can find the environment variables. When I click on it, I will see the user variables and the system variables here. Now I'll start creating the environment variables. First, let's create Java home. And this will be the installation folder of our JDK. I click on OK to save the environment variable. Next, let's create JRE home. And this will be, like you might have guessed, the JRE installation path. Next, let's create a Maven home. And this will be the path to our Maven installation folder. And finally, let's create Catalina home. This will be the installation directory for the Tomcat. In this case, it's not called Tomcat home, but Catalina home. Now, in order for Windows to recognize Java and Maven as commands, we need to add the executables to the path variable. This is the path variable which I'll be editing now. I will click on new to add the Java executable to the path. Java home here will map to C:/JDK folder, and from there I want the bin path to be added to this path variable. Similarly, I'll create one more for Maven, and I'll reuse the Maven directory variable and write bin here so that the bin folder of Maven is also appended to the path. Now I'll click on OK. So now the environment variables have been configured. If I go back to the command prompt and repeat these commands, I will still see this as not recognized. The reason is whenever you make a change to environment variables, you need to restart the command prompt. Now if I type java-version, you can see that I'm typing it from outside the JDK bin folder. I'm still able to see the output from the command prompt. Similarly, I should also see the output for Maven. Yes, we can also see the output for Maven. So now we have completed the setup. At this stage, Tomcat is not yet installed as a service on Windows. What I mean by this is if you open the services tool, you won't see Apache Tomcat present here on the top. So let's install Tomcat as a Windows service. We will navigate to the bin folder of Tomcat and open it up in the command prompt. And then we'll say service.bat space install. And we'll get this output installing the service, and the service Tomcat 10 has been installed. So now if I go to the services tool again and I refresh it, we can see here that Tomcat 10 service has been added successfully. If I double click on it, I'll be able to see more information about this service. I'll close this, and if you go down the bin folder, you can see here that there's a Tomcat 10W executable. You can double click on it. This will open up this Tomcat 10 properties. Here you can start Tomcat server or stop it or restart it if it is already on. And if I navigate to the Java tab here, this should point to the JVM file from the JRE that we installed. And you can see here that it is correctly pointing out to the correct JVM DLL file. You can change the initial memory pool to 1024 and maximum memory pool to 2048 depending upon the RAM size of your PC, and click on apply and go back to the general tab and click on start. We will check if Tomcat is able to start correctly. It says here that it is started. I'll go to Tomcat logs folder, open it, drag and drop it into the notepad. If I go down towards the end, I should be able to see this kind of a message that the server startup was done in some number of milliseconds. This means that Tomcat has started without any problem. The next step will be to configure Eclipse. For this, I have navigated to the Eclipse installation folder, and here you can find the Eclipse executable. Double click on it. We would have to configure Java, Maven, and Tomcat in Eclipse. So let's first configure Java. For this, I will navigate to Windows preferences, and on the left hand side I will click on Java and open the section here and click on installed JREs. You can see here that the JRE listed here is the one that shipped with Eclipse, but I want to use the JRE that we generated, so I'll click on add. Then I'll select standard VM. Then in the JRE home I will select the installation directory for our JRE. You can see here that it's C:/Java JRE 17.0.2. I'll select this folder, and it's listing the name to JRE 17.0.2. I want to keep this name, and also it has listed the system libraries here. I'll click on finish, and I will select this particular JRE to be used. I'll click on apply. Then I will move to Maven. I'll open it, and I'll click on the installations folder. I'll click on add, and the installation home directory I will choose the Maven installation directory. Select folder, and here the installation name has changed to Apache Maven 3.8.5. I'll click on finish, and I'll select this Maven directory and click on apply. I'll click on apply and close. Then the next step will be to create the server and then link it to our JRE home. So here you can find in the servers tab that it says no servers are available. Click this link to create a new server. So I'll click on it. I'm going to create the Apache Tomcat 10 server type. So I'll click on Tomcat version 10.0. I click on next, and here it says either we can download and install a new one, or we can use the one that we have installed. So we have already installed one, so I'll click on browse, and I'll click on the installation directory for Tomcat, and you can see here that it asks whether we need to use the Workbench default JRE or the JRE that is shipped with Eclipse, or the one that we just created now. So I'll click on the one that we have just created now, and click on next, and click on finish. So you can see here that this Tomcat server has been added now with our configuration. So if I right click on it and say start, it should start our Tomcat server without any issues. So you can see here that there were some logs in the console tab. If I open it up, you can see similar log as the one that we saw previously. Now we are getting it here, and the final one is server startup line successfully, and we don't see any errors here. So our Tomcat has been successfully linked to Eclipse. Now, in order to test if all the tools have been configured properly in Eclipse, I'm going to download a sample Spring project. This we can do by navigating to start.spring.io in our browser. So here we can select what version of the Spring Boot you want, what is the name you want to keep for the group, and what dependencies you want to add. In our case, since we are creating a web application, I'm going to go for Spring Web, which is suitable for the RESTful. You can see here RESTful and Spring MVC pattern. And I'll click on generate. Before that, just select the packaging as war, and I click on generate. You can also notice here that we have selected the Maven project, since we are using Maven as the build automation tool. This project, I will just copy it into our workspace. I had selected the workspace as C:(m². So I'll copy and paste the project that we just downloaded here. Now that we have downloaded the SpringBoot project, we can import it into Eclipse. You can go to Eclipse, right click in the project explorer, import, again import, and here in the select and import wizard, you need to choose Maven and then click on existing Maven projects. Click on next. Select the root directory. In this case, in my workspace, this is the root directory of the project. You can see here that Eclipse will automatically pick up the pom.xml file. Click on finish. As soon as you finish, you'll see that Eclipse is using its Maven plugin to import all the required dependencies for this project. You see it here. I will open the package explorer view as well. For that, you can go to Window, Show View, and Other. And in that, you can go to Java and then select Package Explorer and open. So the importing of the dependencies is still going on. Just to show you like where exactly it is all imported into our system, you can navigate to your user folder. In this case, m² is my user, and then you'll see .m2 as one of the folders. So you can navigate there and then click on repository. So you can see that all these dependencies are being downloaded now by Maven. If you are using Maven, in the root folder of your project, you can see this pom.xml file. You can double click on it. So this particular pom.xml file will have all the details about your project, like what are the dependencies, what is the packaging type, what is the name of the project, and so on. You can see that now all the downloading is complete. So we can click on demo, right click on it, and say run on server. So when I click on run on server, Eclipse will use the Maven plugin to package our project as a war and then deploy it on Tomcat. So here I'm going to select Tomcat, click on next. And you can see that this is the naming convention being followed because it is present in our pom.xml file. This can be changed in the pom.xml file. And now I'll click on finish. So now Tomcat will start. And since it's a SpringBoot project, you can see that we are getting this SpringBoot startup message. The sample project was started successfully. So now I will right click on the project, click on run as, and then select run on server. So here I'll select the Tomcat 10 server that we have configured. I'll click on next, and you can see that the naming convention is being picked up from the pom.xml. It can be changed in the pom.xml, and I'll click on finish. So the Tomcat server will now start up. And it will open the page. This is the host. This is the default port for Tomcat. And this is the context of our application. And we are getting an error message now. It's because we have not configured in SpringBoot as to where we need to land if the users enters / after the context. So we'll configure that now. We'll go back to the project and right click on the package, select new, other, then here I'll type Java, and I'll select the first one, the class, and then click on next, and I'll call this class index controller, and I'll click on finish. And I'm going to just copy paste a simple code here. We are tagging this index controller as a REST controller. When we do this, then Spring will automatically scan the Java classes, and then REST controllers will be picked up automatically. And I am having a method here, index, which returns this particular string, greetings from SpringBoot. This message will be displayed on the web page when the user types slash after the context, and this will be a get method. So I'll press Ctrl Shift O now to get all the inputs, and so that we get rid of the error messages, and I'll click on save. Now I will restart the server. Yeah, now the server has started. So now if I go to the web page and refresh it, I should be able to get this particular greetings from Spring Boot message. So that's it for this video. If you found this video useful, please like the video and do subscribe to my channel to get notifications on new videos. We have set up the Java development environment on Windows. First, we saw how we configured OpenJDK and then generated JRE 17. Then we configured Maven as the build automation tool, then Tomcat as a web server, and then we brought all these three together in the Eclipse IDE. We downloaded a sample Spring Boot application and then deployed it into the Tomcat server using Eclipse. If you have any comments, please mention them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.